Dear ISTP, why don't I know more of you? Where are you all hiding? Why don't you explain yourself to people?
Huh?
I wanted to ask you, a lot of ISTPs seem like they, like, despite the idea of introversion, a lot of them seem fairly extroverted. What do you feel
Oh,
in
really?
terms of introversion, extroversion? Like, would you consider yourself a strong introvert, and has that caused you problems, or like, I don't know, anything you think about the introversion extroversion dynamic?
Well, I mean, I consider myself as a really strong introvert, like even extreme introvert. I've a lot of the online tests I will test as 100% I, um, and it's been like really true in my life, especially lately. Especially having accepted myself as an introvert. Um, I have like no problem nowadays turning down invitations to parties, even if like if I if they're people that I like. Um, yeah, I mean, I live by myself. I spend, most of my free time, by choice, I'll spend my free time alone. I go out to eat by myself. Um, yeah, a lot of that's just like purely by choice. And um, I mean, I mean, I don't like freak out if I have to spend time around people. Like, if I enjoy, like, I will every so often I will opt to go to like a party. Like there's my church is having a Christmas party this Friday, and I actually have not gone to one of those in like maybe 4 years, and I'm thinking, well, maybe it's about time now. So I'm, just because I haven't gone, I haven't decided yet. I'll probably decide that day if I'm going to go or not. But I mean, I'm actually considering. I did have a good time the last time I went, just because like even back then I hadn't seen those people in a long time, and they're generally fun people to hang out with. Um, but yeah, that's kind of how it is. Like it's only if I've gone for like a really long time without human interaction that I will, that I'll actually welcome the company of other people. Um, and yeah, there's been like weeks where I would go the entire week. Like a few years ago, there was like we got snowed in our city. Like the snow was so heavy that all the roads were blocked off, and so like nobody could go anywhere. Like the whole city shuts down. Like this area when it snows heavy, like the whole city shuts down because we're just not prepared for snow.
Oh my gosh,
Um,
do you not get snow often?
it'll snow like maybe 1 or 2 days out of the year, and even then it'll maybe snow like maybe we'll get like an inch of snow. But if it's any more than that, like there's no way. No, cars just will like just slip in their driveway, and people abandon their cars. Like there's a lot of hills in the area, so like cars just can't make it up the hills, and so they're just kind of stuck down there. There's like if we go online, like go to YouTube and look for like Seattle or Portland buses and snow. You'll see like a bus like sliding sideways down a hill.
Oh, is that where
So
you live?
yeah. Um,
You ever watch Portlandia?
oh no. But yeah, there's like this YouTube video of like this one intersection, like this person videotaping these cars like sliding into each other, just like
Oh
sliding
my
down
gosh.
the hill, and they're like bouncing around, back and forth between cars, and like somebody added like pinball machine sound effects, and um, so yeah, that's basically how it is when it's when we have winter conditions, like the whole like city is in chaos. So, the smartest thing really is just to not go anywhere, just stay home, work from home if you can. And so that's how it was. That's what I did. And this one winter is like 6 days in a row of being snowed in. Like I was like stuck at home. Luckily, I was able to work from home at the time, so I was able to log in and just like get some work done. And then so yeah, I just basically just didn't go anywhere for 6 days. And when the snow finally cleared, the ice melted. First thing I did was just go grocery shopping because I was running out of food, and then I just went right back home and just I was
No
um,
difference.
yeah, and then I went to church the next day, and like people were asking me, so how was it? How did you survive being snowed? And I was like, yeah, it wasn't that bad. I just I was running low on groceries by the end of the week, but otherwise I was fine. And and of course they meant like how was it not being in contact with other people, like and but yeah, it just didn't even phase me at all. It just felt like a normal week. So yeah, that's how introverted I am.
Well, okay, how many people would you call close to you despite keeping to yourself most of the time? Like, well, how many people would you consider as really close to you?
That's kind of hard to say because I mean there are definitely people in my life that I feel very comfortable sharing with. That if I have a problem, I can like talk to them about it, or we share inside jokes because we've known each other for so long. They're actually and they actually do not live in my area because I grew up in Southern California. I moved away 11 years ago, and they're definitely people that I consider my friends that I can talk to here, but they're not like people who I'm like closely involved in, like not people that I would do stuff with. So there are friends that I will talk to by default when I happen to see them, like people that I will go sit with if I go sit with in church, or invite to I'll send out invites to if I decide to organize an activity, which I will do once in a blue moon. But there are people that that I'll invite to. Usually it's activity based. Like if I'm doing like a swing dancing thing, I'll just send an invite to all my swing dance friends. I use the term friends loosely because they're mostly acquaintances that I only see on the dance floor. Um, but yeah, if there's like something um, that I really need, somebody to talk to, and I really need it to be somebody that I feel like really close to, and that, who really knows me and that I can trust. That situation actually has not come up in the last 11 years that I've lived in this area. But if it ever does, I will probably go to one of my old friends from California, and probably say, hey, no, we haven't talked in a while, but hey, I just need your thoughts on this one thing. But other than that, um, if I just want to share stuff like stuff that happened in my week, I might just go to my ESFJ friend that I see at church almost every week. Um, if I
Have
want to talk.
you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, and as that's the thing. None of my friends in real life are really into MBTI. So if I feel like talking about MBTI, I'll just go online to like the NF Geeks forum or Personality Cafe or something.
You know, I'm surprised. Like most people I know are not supposed to be interested in the MBTI or whatever. Like most people aren't. You don't find people. I actually found like two people at my university, which is like some really small generic university that were interested in it, and I was so ecstatic. I was like freaking out on them. I was like, "Oh my God, yes! This is a gold mine!" Like, holy crap! But it's funny that the people I would call close to me now, almost all of them I talk to about the MBTI with, or just as interested
Oh,
in it as me. And it's such a big interest of mine that I actually made one of my best friends now through MBTI from like some Tumblr post I made. And um, I don't know, it's just such an important thing. I meant to ask you earlier, have you noticed yourself becoming friends or being more compatible with certain types? Or has it just been kind of random or circumstantial?
oh, you mean since learning about MBTI?
Hmm.
Um, Not necessarily. Um, if anything, it just kind of like highlights my differences with other people that I already know. Um, but that's the thing. I don't, because I'm an introvert. I don't seek out new friends. Um, so my circle of friends hasn't really changed all that much in the last few years. Um, yeah, yeah, I I guess that's kind of been true throughout my whole life. Like I never like intentionally like try to make friends with people. Like all the friends that I've ever had in my life like initiated with me. So so I never really had much control over like the friends I had. I mean I mean obviously if somebody just like really rubs me the wrong way, I'll just like avoid them. But other than that, it's like most of the most of my closest friends that I had, like either in high school or college, are people that I probably would not have approached myself. Um,
Mm.
okay, like, they they seemed a bit weird to me. Like my first impressions of them, like when they first approached me, like this one guy, uh, I think he's an ISFP. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I remember he. We were in high school. It was actually we went to the same church, and like I didn't really know anybody else in the room, and he just decided to just come up to me and just start talking to me, and I was like, why does this weirdo keep talking to me? And um, yeah, but he was persistent and just kept asking me questions, and I think eventually we finally found something that we clicked on. And I don't remember what it was. Might have been either Star Trek or it probably might have just been the fact that he was interested in like why I would keep coming to church or or something. I think he just kind of like he was more open to to me than I was to him, and so um, I guess I kind of made me feel a little bit more comfortable around him. Um, and then yeah, my best friend in high school was I now think he's an ESTJ. So definitely not somebody that I would have sought out. But we definitely clicked on similar interests. We were both into computers. We were both like basically nerds. Both kind of taking the same classes, and he was actually the one who got me into Star Trek. Um, and so yeah, we just both just enjoyed just like doing the same things together. And even though I mean, his he kind of got on my nerves, like because he would just keep on talking, just talking nonstop, and like wouldn't even he would just like keep interrupting me whenever I said stuff. And but yeah, it was a good dynamic for I guess the kinds of things we did together. But yeah, just there was him, and there's the the college roommate that I talked about that I think is either ENFP or ENTP. Yeah, he seemed weird at first when I first met him, but yeah, we clicked on. We both clicked because we were both struggling in college, and and yeah, it was like both of us were kind of going into like feeling like I'm the only one going through this, and everybody else is doing well in school, and like I'm struggling. We both kind of discovered that we were both going through that same struggle, and so we kind of connected on that sort of level. And uh, yeah, it's like one of those things I never really thought much about, like why I became friends with certain people. Um, and even now,
Mm.
the ESFJ that I talk about a lot, I don't really have a whole lot in common with her, but just the fact that she friended me on Facebook, and then um, yeah, she comments on a lot of my statuses, and and then whenever I see her at church, like she'll start talking to me, and yeah, she just seems interested in anything that anybody has to say, and so she's one of those who will just get along with anybody and just strike up conversations, and so yeah, it's been fun, even though I might poke fun of her ESFJ tendencies. I still appreciate having her as a friend, and just having that person to talk to for those 10 minutes that I'll see her every week.
Mm.
Um, I mean, what about you? I mean, you being an extrovert or being an ESFJ, like what is your what's been like your process for making friends?
Um, it's changed a lot. I used to be that like really strong extrovert where my FE would just try to like create social harmony with everybody
Yeah,
and try to get along with everybody and just kind of I ended up having a lot of like surface friends, really shallow relationships. Nobody was important to me. I'd like delude myself into thinking these people were important, but they really weren't. They were just people I'd see for like 10 minutes here and there, and and I just like use FE to kind of like give them the impression of closeness, and I really didn't. I had to acknowledge for myself I didn't care, that I didn't need to keep trying to make friends with all these people for no reason,
Hmm.
and that I'm probably not going to get along with most people. I mean, now I generally don't try to make friends with people because I know it's just going to end up being another surface friendship. So I try to focus on people who I genuinely connect with, and I have only a few people that I would call my close friends, and I would try to like kind of rid myself of that social baggage that I don't need. And it's not doing other people favors either, because it's just creating another shallow, meaningless relationship. Why
Yeah.
continue that? And so, I mean, I'm a friendly person, but I show clearly to people now that I'm not going to just like, I don't know. I'm friendly, but I'm not as open with people as I used to be, or more kind of socially ambitious. So, I mean, I appear to most people as an introvert, which is kind of funny, just because when I'm in public, I'm not really like comfortable, or I'm just kind of like, I try to take kind of a reserved, blank standpoint, so I come across as somebody who's not really there,
Hmm.
because I find it stressful to try and get along with everybody, but at the same time, I'll still be open and talk about stuff or whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to explain here, but like some people think I'm angry and unfriendly too, just because I don't know. Sometimes if I'm just like walking by myself on campus, I'll just look kind of blank, and I mean nobody walks around smiling to themselves, obviously, but I don't know. I kind of go and then I leave, and that's about it. I just don't really make an impression on people um, as much as I might have tried to before,
Hmm.
because I'm just too tired for it now, and it's like I don't care. So I I don't know. I can be really ridiculously extroverted though with when I'm really comfortable. Like with my sister, oh, especially because she's an introvert. So I mean, you put us together, and I can seem really insane. But I mean, everybody has different sides to them, and I don't know. I found solace in my alone time, so I have enough of my time I spend with people and enough that I spend alone. Neither or never too much of either. So I've stopped trying to fit myself into other people, but instead trying to find people that I fit with as much as they fit with me. Does that
Hmm.
makes sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
But you still see like extroversion as your natural
Yes,
state.
because yeah, naturally I focus outwards,
Yeah.
and it's yeah, I internalize a lot, but my first instinct is to explore the outward environment or be open. Sometimes I'll get really just kind of like dull because I spent way too much time alone, and all I need to do is go and talk to a stranger and talk to them about their day or something, and it makes me feel like amazing, which is ridiculous to me, but whatever makes me feel good, I guess. Like needing to be able to affect somebody positively is really important to me. And so being able to, I don't know, make somebody's day better is what makes me like, I don't know. I don't know if
Hmm.
it's selfish because it makes me feel useful. At the same time, I'm just happy making other people happy. So obviously, if I spend a lot of time alone, I don't have many opportunities to do that. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I think that's why a lot of extroverts. I see this talked about on the forums a lot, where people uh, say like, I know that this person who's definitely an extrovert who claims to be an introvert because they need their alone time, and it's like, well,
Yeah,
I mean, it's like,
there's a lot of misunderstandings about introvert and extrovert. There's a lot of just, I mean, because that concept has existed before the MBTI, obviously.
yeah,
And so people most easily associate it with, I like people, I don't like people. I like to spend time alone, I don't like to spend time alone. But in the end,
yeah,
it's whether or not you have that relationship with the external world instinctively, or the relationship with the internal world. And you can come across as super extroverted or introverted, either one, and be the opposite. It's just about your cognitive outlook, and I guess those things come along as like a secondary factor.
yeah. I've just I just don't see it too much in extroverted judgers. I see it in extroverted perceivers a
Mm.
lot.
The
Uh,
introversion tendency?
yeah,
Mm.
especially NE users like the ENTPs and ENFPs.
Yeah.
Those will often say that they feel like they're introverts, or they think they're introverts until they discover that that they're NE DOMs. Um, uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think part of the problem is a lot of people think extroverted means like just being really outgoing and outspoken, and even the ESFJs that I know are not like that. I mean, if you just talk to them one on one, you wouldn't be able to tell that they're extroverted or not. Um, the only reason I know they are is just because I watch what they do just in their natural state, and they'll just like gravitate toward people, and just start talking and just like try to engage with people in ways that the ISFJs don't. And, ISFJs, um, I notice will either wait to be approached, or they'll just they'll just like
Yeah.
um,
They can be pretty shy too.
yeah.
Some of them can be really extroverted too.
Yeah, I mean,
Ironically.
yeah. Once you get to talk to them, and the same thing with pretty much. I think pretty much every FE user, will
Yeah.
kind of tend toward, you know, if you're talking to them one on one. ENFJs, for example, seem the same as INFJs, and
I've always
ESFJs.
seen them as very different. That's ironic.
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking about their cognition, but I mean, I notice a difference between dominant FE and auxiliary FE. But like you said, FE does push that sort of extroverted tendency out because it needs to share things with the outward environment. So you might see like INFJs being very open one on one, or being almost seeming like extroverts, or being able to connect with people in that individual manner. And ISFJs too, that can sit there and talk to you for hours on end. Um, but I guess it's just whether or not they derive a lot of energy from it or it wears them out. Because I mean, ENFJs I know, some of them can be really extroverted and just constantly like domineering the environment and talking to everybody, and some of them can be like my brother who just kind of keeps to himself and for the most part, and it's because his FE is dominant that he doesn't feel the need to use it all the time. Almost, it's like I don't know. And then IFJs I know sometimes will be even more social because it's like the desire to exercise or auxiliary function is greater than the dominant one, which they're already like naturally comfortable with,
Hmm.
I guess. I mean, I went off topic. Sorry, I'm going a little.
I wonder if you're seeing these things more clearly just because you're FE dominant.
Oh,
Because like
probably because I recognize FE in different levels.
yeah, because like my FE is inferior, and so like you know a dominant FE probably looks the same as an auxiliary FE to
Yeah,
me.
I notice the difference only because I can relate it to myself. Like
Yeah.
ENFJs and INFJs are always really, really different to me, and ISFJs I can tell very different. But ironically, it's my own type that confuses me. Um, like when I come across them, sometimes I can't tell their type because I'm like, wow, what are you? And it's because I recognize so much of myself in them that it's causing like an incorrect perception because it's like muddying my view. So I'm like, I can't figure you out. And yeah, there was something I was going to say and I forgot. Mm, oh, yeah, I wanted to know about your opinion of FE for yourself, how your FE is.
Um, yeah, my FE has been kind of weird throughout my life. Um, um, the one thing I don't relate to is the stereotypical FE, like in the grip of FE, where like ISTPs are supposedly like will have these outbursts of anger. Um, I mean, it's happened a couple of times. I mean, I can count on one hand the times that's happened, um, and I think they were all like when I was like in my teens. Um, yeah, just like losing it, just like having this outburst of anger and like yelling and screaming. Yeah, and pretty much most people who know me would just like be amazed, to hear that's actually happened because they've never, most people who know me have never seen me do that. Um,
Is it
but yeah,
related to how much stress you have in your environment too? Like, are you more likely to do that if you're more pressured?
it was like I mean the one incident that comes to mind, it was like I must have been like 15 or so, and I was like I was with a group of friends. We were in somebody's car, we were going somewhere, and the guys, one of our friends' sister tagged along, older sister tagged along, and she was just being really obnoxious and just like hogging up and like just hogging up all the attention. And she would do things like crank up the radio really loud just for no reason, just other than to be annoying. She would crank up the heater, um, and then at some point I just I just went ballistic, and because I was it was me. I was trapped. I was like, I think I was in the middle of the back seat, so I was like sandwiched in between two people. I was already uncomfortable to begin with, and like this girl's voice was just really irritating, and and we were like, I think we were like 30 minutes away, still 30 minutes away from home. It's like there was like I knew I was gonna be trapped in this car with with her for the rest of the way, and so like I was just like the pressure just like really got to me, and then I just like went off on her and like used I was like using all these cuss words and
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
I've seen that happen with my best friend a couple of times. Because she has kind of like a biggish family, and so a lot of them will get in like her space and trust her out. And she'll sit there and she'll let something like repeatedly like kind of penetrate her and annoy her over and over, and she'll have no response, and suddenly she'll just start yelling at the person, and then just be like, "Leave me alone, blah blah. What do you want?" Ah! And then it just like only occasionally happens that like she needs to build up to that point. Otherwise, for the most part, she like doesn't get like agitated easily.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's. I mean, I guess after I think that one incident kind of woke me up. I was like you probably heard the phrase, "Was that really me?" And
Yeah.
I had that feeling. The whole rest, after I went home, I was like, what the heck came over me? And I think because I've been more aware since then that I have that tendency, and so a lot of times I'll just work out my anger when I'm by myself at home. Like I'll imagine these scenarios, like what if I tried to be more assertive in this one situation? Like I'll be frustrated with myself that I didn't speak up or that I didn't defend myself more, and then I play out the scenario in my mind, and usually the imaginary scenario ends with me either being beat up or arrested or some
Oh my
just
god.
so, um, yeah, it just I just kind of like let my anger out, and it just ends up being like a really bad situation. I go, okay, well, I'm glad that wasn't a real situation, because that would have been really bad, and it would have ended badly if it was. Um, so I think that's kind of one of the advantages of living alone, is I can do stuff like that, and
And not be weird for talking to yourself.
yeah,
I've caught myself doing that before, where I'll just be like so lost in that I'll be like imagining a situation or something that already happened and thinking, what if I'd acted this way? What if I'd acted that way? And then like I'll picture the scenarios and I'll realize that it's translating extra, like my mouth is moving and my face is changing. I'm like, oh my god, I must look so creepy. I really hope I don't do this
yeah,
in public. Because I do it
yeah,
a lot. It's like, I don't know, referencing social data and like imagining possibilities to use in the future. Like, so
yeah,
bad.
yeah. But I mean, getting back to your earlier question about my inferior FE,
Mhm.
I think in more typical scenarios, it causes me um, to show like kind of an uncontrolled compassion towards somebody, and it's usually triggered by, well, I wouldn't say usually now, because I kind of I've actually learned my lesson from this. I used to have this tendency to uh, to be alerted to like help somebody's helpless situation, or um, like if somebody was going through like a serious depression, to the point where they wanted to kill themselves or something. And this happened like when I was first getting on the internet, like maybe 12 years ago or so, and it would just make me just want to help the person, and just reach out to them. And I think what happened was I had no idea that I had like any ability at all to do anything for them, which, looking back now, I really didn't. But when I showed like this initial concern, like, oh wow, is there anything I can do, or I wish there's something that I could do, and they would respond back saying like, oh my gosh, you're such a nice guy, and I become friends with them, not realizing that I was just enabling them to further into their own self-destructive behavior.
Oh yeah.
Um, and so they would just kind of dump their use me to like they would just dump their problems on me,
To be
and
like a figure of sympathy for them.
yeah, so and I would just continue to give in to them, because I had no, that was like my first time dealing with those those types of people, and I knew nothing about setting boundaries, and so I would just kind of like keep on being this this sympathetic friend, and just kind of like just kind of let them just like use me as this person, like a sounding board. And at some eventually it would get to a point where I would start to see like, oh, they're doing this to themselves, or there's something that they could easily do, like if they're complaining about a person, like an oppressive person, like like a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and and I see that there's something they can do, that a solution that seems easy to me that might not, that's probably not easy for them. I would say, okay, well, maybe if you do this, and then they would ignore me because because they don't want it. Of course they don't want my advice. They just want me to listen.
They don't want to solve their problems.
Yeah,
Probably.
and then I would get frustrated, and then eventually my sympathy would just drop, just because I'm all out. That's like that's the extent of my FE. It's gone now, and then I would just start to just be revert back to my TI, being realistic about the situation and just being purely logical. And of course they didn't like that. They didn't like that side of me. And so they would they would rebel against that and start to lay these guilt trips on me, and then the whole thing would just blow up, and then they would just either they would drop me and in a fit of rage, or they would just disappear or whatever. Eventually,
Ironically.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
And I was just gonna say that's shortly after that was when I learned about setting boundaries, and then I just went through this period of like setting boundaries in an unhealthy way. Like I would just become this really cold and uncaring person, and overcompensate for that. And yeah, you would not want to have known me at that period of my life. I typed as INTJ when I took a test at the time. I don't know if there's any correlation, but yeah.
How would you say your FE is now? How would you rate it for yourself, or is it?
It's it's definitely more controlled now. I know my limitations. I know that I'm not this really kind and caring, giving person, and I know that's an area that still could use improvement. To be, to show kindness in a positive, healthy way, and that's something I'm still working on. But yeah, just recognizing my limitations and knowing that that it's my gifting lies more in just being the logical thinker, and being able to process information and find solutions, and it's helped. My that ESFJ friend that I the one the same one that I talk about in almost half my videos. She is like the first person who's ever really appreciated my advice, and that's one of the reasons I still enjoy talking with her. Is she feels comfortable talking about her problems with me, and apparently I'm the only person who helps her see things in a purely objective perspective. Because like when she talks to her closer friends about her situations, they'll advise her to like try to give the person a chance, or try to talk things out with the person. And I'm talking when I hear what she says about what she's done so far, I'm like, you've given that person plenty of chances already. You should just you just cut the person out of your life. You don't need to explain yourself to them. Just say you've already said what you needed to say, and so this is what you need to do. And she'll it's like a sigh of relief for her because
Mhm.
you know she doesn't want to deal with that person. She only does it because she feels like she has to, or
Her
out of
FE will give
guilt.
her the obligation.
Yeah,
But you're
and
like
so
the voice of TI, her inferior TI, and you're like, no, you don't have to. You can do this. And she's like, okay, I
yeah,
can tell myself that now.
yeah, and I explain it, and I explain it to her why, and so she'll see the reasons, and she'll go, oh yeah, I never thought of it that way, and then she'll thank me for the advice, and um, yeah, so and then then she feels comfortable talking, giving me the follow up, to when something new develops, and
I wonder if inferior FE actually recognizes its limits with FE before dominant FE does.